I have here my LED um, brightening and dimming. It's going from 25 to 50 to 75 to 100%. So what's happening is it's going through the positive pulse modulator on pin 3, through the resistor, through the LED, through this jumper to ground, which is connected to the ground pin on my Arduino. This is my program, very basic. Use a for statement to make it go up by increments of 25, using the analog write statement to write out that to pin 3. And that's it. I have here my setup for the objective 2. So what's happening here is my red is hooked up to the positive side of a 9-volt battery. The black is hooked up to the ground. If I'm going backwards through the ground, I'm going through my black cable that goes back to the DC motor on the ground side, and then it goes to the positive red wire, which is connected to the white one on my potentiometer. I'm using the VEX one. For the potentiometer, the blue cable or blue jumper is going to the ground part, and the green jumper is going to the positive part of my VEX over here. So there you have it. And if I spin my VEX using a screwdriver, I can control the speed. Pretty crude, but it works. Under a certain, or over a certain resistance, I'm not exactly sure, the motor stops working, like right now. But then if I turn it up, it turns on, and underneath it stops. For part 3 of the Lab 5, I have my potentiometer set up over here. The my jumpers from the 5-volt come back over and go to the respective ones on my VEX. They're jumpered over using the blue for the ground and the green for the positive. The yellow jumper is the COM lining, goes back to A0 analog input. Starting from ground, going through the motor, I have my ground is grounded through the battery, which is grounded to the same spot on my Arduino board. And the positive comes back, hops through the motor to ground, which goes through the transponder here on the farthest pin to the left in the video. The middle pin is jumped back to my digital output with its PWM pin 3, and then this first one is this yellow jumper here goes back to ground, and that's connected to the far right pin on my transponder. If I vary my potentiometer, my speed on my motor changes, as you can see from the serial monitor. And there's my code. So what's happening here is my code is reading from the analog in, then it's printing it to the screen over here, which right now is 0. If I change it, it's printing to that screen, which is going into here and being mapped out and changed to a different value. And that value then corresponds and is my output for my analog write here. And that's how the code works. Again, I have my system set up here. going through it again, my potentiometer over here hooked up to my, first of all, positive and negative, 5 volt. The red being positive, the black being ground or negative. Blue jumper again is hooked to the negative side, and the green jumper is hooked to the positive side, with the yellow jumper coming back to A0 as my read line, or the COM line. This yellow jumper goes to the middle of my transponder, right pin of my transponder, and that is connected to the ground. This red one, I changed, it was orange to make it look neater, is hooked up to pin 3, and it is my input or output pin for the motor, and is hooked to the middle pin on my transponder. And then the output on the far left goes from this jumper to my motor on the ground, on the ground side, and then it comes back through my positive side here and back over here through my battery to the ground wire, and the ground wire from the battery is hooked back to the ground on the Arduino board. I have here my push button. This blue jumper connects it from negative to the push button, and then it goes through the push button to my this line here, which is a COM line, going to pin 2, and then it's going back to ground using this resistor on that same one. Here's my code. What is supposed to be going on here, I believe, is I have my setup up here, and then it's supposed to be going to a serial monitor here, and then that serial monitor is supposed to be reading from my potentiometer and displaying there. And then that number over here on the display, if it is less than 500, and my push button, which is being read here, if it's low, meaning that it's pushed down, then my motor should write at 100%, or I should get 100% output from my pin 3. Otherwise, I should be getting 0. It was working. I think my battery died, because now all I get is a whine from it when I push the button and turn it above 500, 600. Then I get that. But if I release the button and put that under 400, I get no buzz. But I also get no movement right now. I believe it's because my battery's dead. I just checked the voltage. It's at like 4 volts. And I don't have another battery on me right now. If I get another one, I will re-record this and send it to you.